आप सभी लोगों को मेरा नमस्कार। मैं डॉक्टर दीपक शर्मा, दिल्ली होम्योपैथिक मेडिकल एसोसिएशन का जनरल सेक्रेटरी आप सभी लोगों का स्वागत करता हूं। और आज जो स्वागत करता हूं मैं होम्योपैथिक डॉक्टर्स एसोसिएशन फरीदाबाद की तरफ से भी स्वागत करता हूं। और मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूं कि ये आज एक जॉइंट सीएमई और वेबिनार है। वेबिनार और सीएमई दोनों एक साथ हैं क्योंकि सुबह से फरीदाबाद में जहाँ पे अभी सर हमारे साथ में हैं वहाँ पे एक सेमिनार चल रहा था और अब ये वेबिनार का टाइम है जो 3 बजे से लेकर के 5 बजे तक निर्धारित किया गया है। दिल्ली होम्योपैथिक मेडिकल एसोसिएशन और होम्योपैथिक डॉक्टर्स एसोसिएशन फरीदाबाद दोनों लोग इसको जॉइंटली ऑर्गेनाइज कर रहे हैं। आज 21 मार्च 2021 में आप सभी लोगों का स्वागत है होम्योपैथी के इस वेबिनार सीरीज में। मैं चाहता हूं कि दिल्ली होम्योपैथिक मेडिकल एसोसिएशन की तरफ से हमारी सीनियर वाइस प्रेसिडेंट डॉक्टर अवनीत कौर सभी का स्वागत करें और हमारे इस प्रोग्राम को आगे बढ़ाने की अनुमति दें, क्योंकि आज जो हमारे प्रेसिडेंट सर हैं डॉक्टर युधिष्ठिर सिंह सर, वो किसी वजह से एब्सेंट है और जहां पर हैं वहां पर इंटरनेट की कनेक्टिविटी है नहीं। तो मैं गुजारिश करूंगा डॉक्टर अवनीत कौर जो हमारी सीनियर वाइस प्रेसिडेंट हैं, प्लीज सबका वेलकम करें। डॉक्टर अवनीत मैम।
नमस्ते सर, थैंक यू डॉक्टर दीपक। मैं डॉक्टर अवनीत डीएचएमए के सीनियर वाइस प्रेसिडेंट हूँ। मैं डॉक्टर प्रवेश अग्रवाल जी का बहुत बहुत स्वागत करती हूँ। और मैं जो वाइस प्रेसिडेंट है हमारे आज मैं प्रेसिडेंट बिहाफ पे आपके सामने आई हूँ। किसी कारण डॉक्टर वाई सिंह नहीं आ पाए हैं, तो मैं पहला जो वेलकम है डॉक्टर पैट्रन सर को, डॉक्टर वीपी सिंह को करती हूँ। एंड जो हमारे सीनियर जो वाइस प्रेसिडेंट हैं डॉक्टर योगेंद्र जी एंड डॉक्टर श्वेता एंड अदर मेंबर्स ऑफ द एग्जीक्यूटिव मेंबर्स एंड द डीएचएम मेंबर्स, मैं सबका स्वागत करती हूँ। एंड मैं वेलकम करती हूँ डॉक्टर प्रवेश अग्रवाल जी का, जिन्होंने बहुत ही अच्छा टॉपिक ढूंढा है आज कि डिफरेंशियल डायग्नोसिस ऑफ होम्योपैथी एंड द केस टाइप्स। तो मैं बाकी जो फरीदाबाद में जो सर मुझे बता रहे हैं, जो मुझे भी पता चला है, जो और भी जो मेंबर्स जुड़े हैं उनका भी मैं वेलकम करती हूँ। तो जिन्होंने आज टाइम निकाला, और ये जो सेमिनार कम वेबिनार जो 59 है, जो डीएचएमए ने इसको 59 में कंटिन्यूटी में रखा है, उसके लिए मैं डॉक्टर दीपक का बहुत बहुत एप्रिसिएशन करती हूँ कि उन्होंने इस डीएचएमए के इस प्लेटफॉर्म को बहुत ही अच्छे तरीके से चलाया है। क्योंकि आज के टाइम पे जो डीएचएमए है इज एन एग्जाम्पल, इट्स नॉट एन सैंपल। तो मैं इसके लिए डॉक्टर दीपक एंड डॉक्टर श्वेता और उसकी टीम को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करती हूँ और बहुत अप्रिशिएट करती हूँ उनका। तो टाइम ना वेस्ट करते हुए मैं डॉक्टर प्रवेश अग्रवाल जी से रिक्वेस्ट करती हूँ कि, और डॉक्टर दीपक से रिक्वेस्ट करती हूँ कि इसको आगे चलाएं और स्टार्ट कर दीजिए। थैंक यू सो मच।
थैंक यू मैम। जो लोग नए हैं मैं उनको बता दूं कि दिल्ली होम्योपैथिक मेडिकल एसोसिएशन 1932 में डॉक्टर युधिष्ठिर सिंह सर
यस।
द्वारा बनाई गई थी और दिल्ली होम्योपैथिक मेडिकल एसोसिएशन 1932 से लगातार होम्योपैथी के लिए कार्यरत है। लगातार सीएमईज, लगातार सेमिनार्स, हेल्थ कैंप्स और भी बहुत सारे ऐसे काम जो दिल्ली होम्योपैथिक मेडिकल एसोसिएशन लगातार करती आई है। मैं बहुत गौरवान्वित महसूस करता हूँ कि मैं आज दिल्ली होम्योपैथिक मेडिकल एसोसिएशन का जनरल सेक्रेटरी हूँ। अब मैं रिक्वेस्ट करता हूँ हमारे डॉक्टर्स होम्योपैथिक डॉक्टर्स एसोसिएशन फरीदाबाद के प्रेसिडेंट सर डॉक्टर ए अग्रवाल से कि वो प्लीज़ आएँ और अपनी एसोसिएशन के बारे में पहले कुछ बताएं और उसके बाद हम सभी लोग डॉक्टर परवेश सर का वेलकम करेंगे। डॉक्टर ए अग्रवाल सर, नमस्कार।
डॉक्टर युधिष्ठिर सिंह जी, प्रेसिडेंट डीएचएमए, माय younger brother Dr. Deepak Sharma, General Secretary DHMA, and Dr. Garima Jindal, Treasurer DHMA, and all the respected members of Delhi Homeopathic Medical Association, and all my friends of Homeopathic Doctor Association of Faridabad, and all the delegates and participants who have joined this. Friends, it's a moment of great pride and honor for me and our Homeopathic Doctor Association of Faridabad that we are sharing this platform with Delhi Homeopathic Medical Association. Now I will say a few words about our Faridabad Association. Our Homeopathic Doctor Association of Faridabad, it is about more than 40 years old, and we are regularly organizing monthly CMEs, half-day and full-day seminars, and we celebrate Dr. Hanuman's birthday as family get-together program in which we participate with our family members. And during this COVID time, we have also started doing webinars, and from few months after decline in COVID cases, we have started seminar cum webinars. And our today program is also a seminar cum webinar. In our morning session, we had 4 speakers with different topics. And now in the afternoon session, we are doing this webinar cum seminar. And our speaker for this session is Dr. Pravesh Agarwal. Regarding Dr. Pravesh Agarwal ji, he is one of our senior most member of our homeopathic association, and he is a very active member of our association. He is a very learned teacher and very well experienced speaker also. And his to the topic case types and differential approach, I think it will help all of us in our day-to-day practice. So with this, I thanks again all our delegates and participants. Thank you, sir.
थैंक यू सर। मैं आप सभी लोगों को बता दूं कि दिल्ली होम्योपैथिक मेडिकल एसोसिएशन और होम्योपैथिक डॉक्टर्स एसोसिएशन फरीदाबाद दोनों ही बहुत पुराने हैं और होम्योपैथी के लिए दोनों ही कार्यरत हैं। मैं जब इस एसोसिएशन में फरीदाबाद एसोसिएशन में पहली बार गया था तो मुझे एक सबसे अच्छी बात इन सब लोगों की ये लगी कि ये किसी भी स्पीकर को बोलने के लिए एक अच्छा सा मौका देते हैं और पूरा टाइम देते हैं कि आप अपने टॉपिक को पूरे तरह से एक्सप्लेन करो, और बहुत ही फ्रेंडली बिहेवियर है। मतलब कहीं मुझे कभी भी ऐसा नहीं लगा जब भी मैंने लेक्चर दिए हैं कि मैं कहीं बहुत स्पेशल कोई जगह जा रहा हूँ, बिल्कुल फ्रेंडली नेचर है। तो ये एसोसिएशन फरीदाबाद में और भी बहुत सारे काम कर रही है, मैं जानता हूँ सभी लोग बहुत अच्छे हैं। तो मैं सबसे पहले तो डॉक्टर ए अग्रवाल को सर धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूँ कि आपने हमारे साथ मिल करके आज ये प्रोग्राम किया है और सुबह से भी आप लोग सेमिनार कर ही रहे हैं, अभी वेबिनार की बारी है। डॉक्टर प्रवेश अग्रवाल सर को भी मैं अच्छी तरह से जानता हूँ और कई बार मिल चुका हूँ। डॉक्टर प्रवेश अग्रवाल सर एमडी हैं ऑर्गन ऑफ मेडिसिन में और लाइफ मेंबर हैं एसडीएचए के, होम्योपैथिक डॉक्टर एसोसिएशन फरीदाबाद के पहले जनरल सेक्रेटरी है और अभी पैटर्न है, also life member of IIHP, और he is known spreading unbiased understanding of biased classical homeopathic philosophy, और बहुत ही मृदुल भाषी हैं, इसमें तो हमें कोई डाउट ही नहीं है। और सर के साथ मेरा जब भी मिलना हुआ है बहुत ही अच्छे से, चाहे वो होम्योपैथी का कोई भी प्रोग्राम रहा हो। तो मैं बहुत बहुत स्वागत करता हूँ डॉक्टर प्रवेश अग्रवाल सर का, और गुजारिश करता हूँ कि सर आज जो आपने टॉपिक दिया है केस टाइप एंड देयर डिफरेंशियल अप्रोचेज, तो प्लीज़ क्योंकि सब लोग आपको सुनने के लिए बेताब हैं, तो प्लीज़ शुरू करिए। वेलकम सर।
नमस्कार डॉक्टर साहब, सभी लोगों को मेरा बहुत बहुत अभिवादन। जैसा कि डॉक्टर दीपक ने बता ही दिया है कि ये कंबाइंड प्रोग्राम दिल्ली और फरीदाबाद दोनों एसोसिएशंस का है। मैं एक छोटी सी लिबर्टी लेना चाहता हूँ कि यहाँ जो मेरे साथी बैठे हुए हैं, मैं एक बार कैमरा घुमा के उस गैदरिंग को बाकी सब लोगों के पास तक पहुंचाना चाहता हूं। मैं अपना सिस्टम उठा के और वो गैदरिंग आप सब लोगों के सामने दिखाने के लिए उत्सुक हूं।
बिल्कुल, सभी लोग सभी से मिलने के लिए बेताब हैं। सभी लोगों को नमस्कार।
तो आप देख रहे हैं कि कोरोना के टाइम पे भी जबकि दोबारा कोरोना बढ़ने लगा है, हमारे काफी साथी आज इकट्ठे हुए हैं। अब और अधिक समय न लेते हुए मैं शुरू करना चाहता हूं अपना टॉपिक।
जी सर।
देखिए, मेरा टॉपिक आज का है केस टाइप्स एंड देयर डिफरेंशियल अप्रोच। इसमें आप लोगों को बहुत सारी चीजें ऐसा लगेंगी, क्योंकि आखिर होम्योपैथी में कह लीजिए, मेडिकल साइंस में कह लीजिए, घूम फिर के बातें हैं, काफी कुछ वही है, केवल उनके अंडरस्टैंडिंग का तरीका थोड़ा बदलता है कि हम किसी चीज को किस नजरिए से देखते हैं और किस तरह से हम उनको क्लासिफाई कर पाए। क्लासिफाई करने का पर्पज ये होता है कि हम चीजों को बेहतर तरीके से एनालिटिकली डिफरेंशियली समझ सकें। तो इसलिए ये एक थोड़ा सा नया टॉपिक है यूजुअल कंसिडरेशन के लिए, और इसके बारे में मैं ये बताना चाहूंगा कि मैं नेशनल एकेडमी ऑफ होम्योपैथी, जो कि डॉक्टर कासिम चिमथानावाला का पूरा एक सेटअप है, जहां वो एडवांस ट्रेनिंग स्कूल डॉक्टर्स के लिए ऑर्गेनाइज करते हैं, वो मेरे गुरु हैं एंड आई डेडिकेट दिस लेक्चर टू हिम। ये सारा उनका ही दिया हुआ है, इसकी वजह से मैं ये आप सब तक पहुंचा पा रहा हूं। So I start with the topic case. आखिर केस टाइप्स की मैंने बात की है, तो केस है क्या? जो डॉक्टर हैनीमन साहब ने क्लिनिकल क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ डिजीजेस दिया है as given by Dr. Henneman, it is absolutely relevant and it is fulfilling the needs of even today. But what we actually deal with in our clinics in day-to-day practice is not the diseases by themselves. Practically speaking, we deal with the patients who are coming to our clinic presenting with their disease conditions. That is, we deal with the disease presentations, and this is what we call as cases. So cases are the clinical disease presentations. Now going to case types. This is the classification of clinical disease presentations. There is an immense need to classify these case types, and along with simultaneously to understand the differential approach towards different types of cases, especially regarding their management and treatment. I'm not talking of homeopathic treatment alone. I'm talking of treatment because in Organon, Dr. Henneman never said of homeopathy alone. He said of the total system of medicine. Now, first of all we must segregate the clinical conditions, that is cases, on the basis of types of causation and influence. Basically, on this broad aspect, we have two types: external diseases and internal diseases. External diseases, causes and influences are primarily external or mechanical. For internal diseases, the causes and influence being primarily internal, that is dynamic. First, to consider the external disease cases. These are due to mechanical causes coming from without, from outside. That is injuries, contusions, concussions, lacerations, cuts, stab wounds, dislocations, fractures, gunshot wounds, foreign bodies, internal hemorrhages due to external injuries also. These originate from mechanical forces from outside, without involvement of the internal human system primarily. So they primarily need mechanical skills and local application of external medicines as calendula, arnica, etc. These are the commonest ones. However, secondarily, the systemic involvement is almost always there. There can be and must be. They should be dealt with as per the magnitude of distress and systemic involvement. This is done with internal medications by dynamic homeopathic medicines as arnica, ruta, ledum, hypericum, calendula, symphytum, etc. When the external lesion is quite trivial, which is produced just a short time previously, and it does not provoke systemic involvement, it is actually termed as true local disease. But when the injuries are severe and violent with systemic involvement, then it is termed as surgical diseases. Now coming to internal disease cases. Internal disease cases, they develop primarily due to or with the internal systemic dynamic involvement of the vital force. Here again, we must differentiate between the congenital conditions from the acquired conditions, because we cannot talk only of a short area of our usual medical treatments. We have to cover all the types of cases coming to our clinics. So two aspects are there. One part is congenital cases, the other one is the acquired cases. Congenital cases are such which are present since birth. They actually originate during the development of fetus in intrauterine life. They can further be divided into congenital disorders as well as congenital diseases. First, taking the congenital disorders. These are structural, anatomical, congenital anomalies. Mind that they are all structural. They either present themselves at birth, especially when they are external, as the most common examples are cleft lip, cleft palate, extra finger, absent or deformed finger, or even absent or deformed limb, absent anal orifice, undescended testicles, anencephaly, the absent head, development of tail, conjoined twins, etc. These are present at birth, and at times they may become evident later on in life, especially when they are internal, as congenital heart diseases. Usually they come for information of the parents later in life. Absence of one kidney, imperforate hymen, congenital herniations, etc. और कई बार तो इसमें से कुछ ऐसे हैं जो बहुत बाद मालूम पड़ते हैं. एक एग्जांपल मैं कहूंगा, मेरे खास साथी हैं, डॉक्टर हैं, और उन्हें करीब 45-46 साल की उम्र पे जाके ये मालूम पड़ा, incidentally without any problem, when he had ultrasound for some other reason, that he has one kidney missing. This has to be a congenital disorder, but it was not known. So all the congenital disorders are not known at birth. All these surgical diseases, all these are surgical diseases that must be corrected surgically. However, in general, they are to be corrected surgically. However, at times, some cases of congenital disorders may improve spontaneously or with the help of non-surgical mechanical aids or with the help of internal medications. As some cases of hernias, many hernias, they can be helped by non-surgical mechanical aids, and they help to keep the bowel loops in place, allowing the gap in abdominal muscles to heal up and to relieve that congenital malformation. Similarly, patent ductus arteriosus, VSDs and ASDs, they also improve at times spontaneously or maybe by internal medications. Partial or non-formation of iris. I hope many of our colleagues might be remembering some such cases from homeopathic treatment histories presented by one of the masters. Pure toned urinary bladder. Congenitally, urinary bladder is not having proper tone, and so either it cannot hold the urine properly, or it keeps on holding the urine to such an extent that it is ready to burst and it keeps on leaking slowly. Explanation of such happenings when these congenital disorders can be improved. This may happen when they are actually the conditions due to delayed and imperfect development during the intrauterine life, as the closure of various openings which are due to take place about at the moment of birth, and they actually get completion or perfection later on, either spontaneously or through anti-miasmatic dynamic medicines, especially homeopathic treatments. Now the congenital diseases. These are congenital malfunctions. Congenital disorders were malstructures, structuralization abnormalities, while congenital diseases are malfunctions, that is physiological congenital disturbances. They make themselves known later in life, maybe sooner after birth or after quite some time. Few common examples are hemophilia, thalassemia, lactose intolerance, celiac disease with gluten allergy, G6PD deficiency, color blindness, etc. These are incurable diseases as they are genetically dependent. They need to be managed as far as possible by changing lifestyle, prohibiting certain types of foods, taking proper precautions, etc. However, at times, there are cases helped to varying degree through miasmatic treatment, probably through regulating epigenetic influence on related genes. This was the congenital type of cases. Now the acquired cases. They are not present at birth and are acquired or developed later in life. However, miasmatic predispositions, tendencies and diatheses, etc., which are genetic or familial, that are inherited and also developed at times during the fetal life, they are also present at birth and continue to wait in the background, only to become manifestive in the form of acquired disease with the help of exciting or maintaining causes. So they are acquired in life, but definitely the predispositions and miasmatic influences are already present. These are differentiated into indispositions and disease proper. Indispositions are minor illnesses and disease proper are the significant illnesses. Considering indispositions first, these are the slight or temporary illnesses due to mild, short, external offenses over a latent psoric state. The miasmatic psoric state is not active, it is latent, and the excitation is slight. So these are minor illnesses. There is no prodrome. There is a short-lasting trivial attack followed by spontaneous decline leading to recovery. The discontinuity of cause itself is sufficient to recover the patient. Management of indispositions, removal of causative factor, providing some rest to the affected system, moral support to the patient that he is being treated, that is the placebo therapy. This is actually sufficient for spontaneous recovery. However, if the patient is quite sensitive or more distressed, the recovery may be enhanced by supplementing with a short-acting, superficial, acute or partial simulimum. Now coming to the disease proper, the main field of homeopathy. These are the significant clinical conditions that actually need medical attention, supervision, and active treatment. These presentations are grouped into two distinct categories: acute cases and chronic cases. Acute cases are suddenly developed. The clinical picture or the symptom syndrome has suddenly aroused. There was nothing the matter with the patient some time ago. So sudden onset and short duration characterize an acute case. Acute cases may be of quite different types. So many of types may be there. Acute distressing symptom as colic, headache, etc. I will take up in detail all these things. First of all, enumerating these things. Then acute states or symptom syndromes as neuralgias, fever, etc. Acute disease proper as influenza, typhoid, etc. Epidemic diseases as cholera and COVID, you can say. Acute exacerbation of chronic diseases. Acute drug effects or allergies, poisonings, toxicological effects. And one more, medical emergencies with life-endangering conditions as collapse, shock, failures, etc. Now considering these one by one. First is acute distressing symptom. Here, patient comes with a single symptom, which is very violent and severe, as a very severe headache, violent colic, vomiting, or vertigo, etc. Here, patient does not give any substantial information, but only one single severe symptom may be the presentation with vague or maybe precise location or modality. Here, the general management is not very important and may be slightly helpful in few cases only, especially the auxiliary measures. Medicinal treatment is mostly a partial simillimum. Everywhere, a very proper simillimum is not required. Mostly here, a partial simillimum is prescribed on a strong attribute present, mostly upon the sensation or character of symptom, maybe upon causation or modality or concomitant, because complete symptom is usually not present. Second type is acute states or symptom syndrome. It is a group of symptoms which come on suddenly, more or less together, and subside after some time, maybe 1 or 2 minutes, or even maybe for a few days. And then the patient becomes free of these symptoms. These symptoms are related together, coming always as a group and not separately. This is the acute state. There are episodes or recurrent attacks or subtypes, as I am giving some examples, as a trigeminal neuralgia, recurrent attack of acute pain in right mandibular region, also with right earache, sharp lancerating electric-like pain, probably of neural origin, better by rubbing very hard or clenching the teeth very hard, and relief in 2 to 3 minutes, maybe a bit more. Another example may be sciatic neuralgia, sharp acute lancinating pain in left lower limb posteriorly going from hip downwards towards left heel with tingling sensation or numbness, etc. In such syndromes, mostly we are able to get some striking causative factor or location or sensation or some modality, etc. Here, general management is again not very important, maybe slightly helpful in a few cases only, including rest, diet, auxiliary measures, assurances, etc. Medical treatment is again usually a partial simillimum or maybe a true simillimum if possible. It is prescribed on a good symptom complex as exposure to cold with rawness of throat, with sensitive cough, with feather-like sensation in throat, means we need to give the simillimum hypersulfur. Another example, exposure to hot weather leading to violent throbbing headache, red flushed eyes and face, beating of carotids leads to indications for belladonna. Now, the next type, acute disease proper. Here, the whole disease itself is acute. This condition fulfills our definition of acute diseases. And this condition is also enlisted in the books of medicine as influenza, typhoid, pneumonia, and so many. However, it may or may not have evolved to the level of disease diagnosis. For example, a child is brought with fever, coryza, irritability, and malaise for a day or two. It gives impression that probably the child has got a viral disease, maybe measles or chickenpox or mumps or even simple viral influenza. But being the second or third day, as no eruptions are there, so the definitive disease diagnosis is not possible. But as such, it is an acute disease. Here, the knowledge of disease comes to our help, suggesting that it is going to be a virus, as there is a prodromal period, and prodromal period is usually present in viral cases. Prodromal period consists of malaise, feverishness, chilliness, etc. for a few days in the beginning of all viral fevers. But it does not accurately diagnose the disease, that which viral disease is coming up. Another case may come with full-fledged disease state of mumps or typhoid or pneumonia, etc. Now the management. It is comparatively easy because all these cases are self-limiting, functional, and they have reversible pathology. They have general management is very important, including rest, mostly complete bed rest, bland diet, which should be nutritious and easily digestible, auxiliary measures as baths and sponges for fever, fluid maintenance and nutritional support through IV or orally. Eliminations and protective reflexes should not be prevented as perspiration, cough, sneezing, fever, etc. Assurances and psychotherapy have a very high role. Now, medicinal treatment of acute disease proper. A acute similimum for the totality of altered symptoms or a partial similimum upon the main distressing symptom, which is usually prescribed in repeated doses. Totality is constructed upon causation, presenting or altered mental and physical generals, prominent particulars, and modalities to select a similimum. It may also be prescribed on a strong attribute present, may be a causation or modality or sensation or corrector of symptom or concomitant as colocin, gelsemium, aconite, Resta, Pulsatilla, hypericum, etc. Another type is epidemic diseases. These are the acute diseases spreading epidemically as cholera, viral conjunctivitis, dengue, chikungunya, COVID-19, etc. Here, general management is quite important as rest, diet, auxiliary measures, assurances, etc. Medicinal treatment consists mostly of genus epidemicus. It is used with great success. However, if the individual picture differs from the usual disease picture, totality of altered symptoms is constructed and an acute similimum is used. Another type, acute exacerbation of chronic diseases. A long-running chronic disease of a mild or moderate severity. It flares up due to some strong aggravating factors. For example, sudden increase of knee pains due to sudden excessively cold weather or getting and remaining wet for some time. Whatever mild chronic condition is going on in patient, there may be acute exacerbation. Another example may be sudden severe headache with palpitation, vertigo, hot flushes, prostration, etc. in a known hypertensive patient after some altercation or so. The management of such cases is same as an acute disease. The next type is acute drug effects or allergies or poisonings or toxicological cases. Here, we mostly get a clear and definite history of consuming some medicine or drug, some toxic material, etc. that have induced and precipitated either the sudden reaction and severe reaction or the slow growing side effects. Such cases include drug allergies, side effects of drugs, allergic reaction to various allergens, may be physical or chemical or biochemical. Acute affections due to toxins as bites of poisonous insects, snakes, scorpions, etc. or cases of chemical or biological poisonings, etc. One more type is medical emergencies among the acute cases. Medical emergencies are abrupt and very severe life-endangering conditions where the first priority is to save the life of the patient by one or more immediate life support procedures and even urgent surgeries, as in cases of collapse, shock, acute organ failure, myocardial infarction, electrocution, etc. There is no time to spare for detailed case taking, thinking, selecting the simillimum, etc., or otherwise the life of the patient is lost. In such cases, there is no question of doing homeopathy or this pathy or that pathy and getting simillimum. It is an emergency. The highest purpose, highest aim of the doctor is to save the patient, save the life of the patient by any means. The management patient should be immediately put on life support procedures and even urgent surgeries if required. Medical treatment is usually secondary and should not be attempted to unless the physician is very confident and competent and he is very certain of medical efficacy. It is better to refer such cases or send them to actual emergency centers. Here, short-acting partial stimulant drugs are used in quite high potency and very frequent repetition, along with life support systems. This all was about the acute cases. Now we come to chronic cases. They gradually develop over a long period of time. It is not possible to get the exact point of onset of the clinical condition or the symptom syndrome because it has insidiously developed. So, gradual and insidious onset characterizes a chronic case. Excuse me. Chronic cases may be classified from two different points of view. One point of view is from origin and presentation for better understanding of their nature and etiopathogenesis. The other point of view is from prognosis and management for their better therapeutic approach. We will consider both one by one. First, we take classification of chronic cases from point of view of their origin and presentation. Grossly, there are two types as regards their origin, true and false. First, we take the smaller part, false chronic cases or the pseudo-chronic cases. These sicknesses are amiasmatically developed due to circumstances occupying the life and habits of the person or the patient. These are such diseases which persons bring upon themselves due to being continuously occupied by avoidable noxious influences. So they are called occupational diseases or the lifestyle diseases. These are the false diseases, pseudo-chronic diseases. Then we come to the true chronic cases. These are miasmatically evolved sicknesses which continue to remain even after removing all the maintaining factors. Dr. Henneman has very clearly mentioned in Organon that chronic diseases cannot be removed by removing all exciting and maintaining factors. These are the true chronic cases. These are two distinctly grossly distinct groups, types, according to the nature of responsible miasm. One is natural chronic cases, which are due to natural chronic miasms. The other one is the artificial chronic cases or the drug diseases due to artificial or drug miasmas. Natural chronic cases evolve due to natural chronic miasmas. We know there are three natural miasms: SORA, syphilis, and psychosis. SORA is the functional miasm. Syphilis and psychosis are the organic miasm. They present with two types of presentations. Either it can be a recurrent natural chronic case or it can be a continued natural chronic case. Recurrent natural chronic cases, they have the same clinical presentation coming on in repeated episodes with various causes. They remain for some time with same modality and go away completely, leaving the patient totally asymptomatic. The same or similar disease presentations occur at indefinite and varying intervals with same or variously different causes. Here, psychosis or syphilis or both blend with SORA, but do not totally and continually dominate the SORA. And that is the reason why there are phases of complete remission. This blended miasmatic state was termed as pseudo-SORA by Dr. Henneman and tubercular miasm by Dr. Allen. Miasmatically, all recurring episodal tubercular cases are mixed miasmatic, that is tubercular. They may be soro-psychotic or soro-syphilitic or soro-psychosyphilitic. The other type is continued natural chronic cases. The clinical presentation, once started, has remained without any asymptomatic phase. So some or other problem keeps on coming. There is no asymptomatic phase. However, the severity of symptoms may vary to any extent with modifying factors. Here, psychosis or syphilis or both are well developed and evolved. They not only get blended with SORA, but also continue to dominate and overpower the SORA. And that is the reason why there are no remissions. Miasmatically, all these combined type of chronic cases are organic in nature, with psychosis and syphilis overpowering the SORA, or at times both simultaneously overpowering the SORA. So, miasmatically considering, all acute cases are soric, all recurrent chronic cases are tubercular, and all continued chronic cases are organic in nature. These were the natural chronic cases. Now the artificial chronic cases or the drug diseases. These evolve due to artificial or drug miasmas. That is, they are artificially produced, maintained, and developed by the prolonged inappropriate medical treatment by allopathic method through the use of unsuitable or non-homeopathic violent medicines in large doses over prolonged periods. Here, allopathic means not only the allopathic medicines, it is the allopathic method, and non-homeopathic does not stand for non-homeopathic medicines, it stands for non-homeopathic type of use of medicines, even by wrong use of homeopathic medicines. It induces an artificial drug miasm that coalesces and gets complicated with the original natural disease. Thus, the patient develops a double disease, rather a complex disease that makes him worse and is much more difficult to cure. Chronic cases may be classified from two different viewpoints. This I have brought the previous slide again by original presentation, this what we described now, and now the next part, which is of actual therapeutic approach use, that the chronic cases to be classified by prognosis and management. So classification from point of view of prognosis and management. They can be divided into following different types. naturally evolved cases, unnaturally evolved cases, unevolved type or one-sided cases, settled cases, mixed cases, and silent cases. Understanding these different types and understanding their differential approach is not only helping us, but they are necessary to understand what sort of case we are dealing with and how it should be judiciously dealt with. Further, naturally evolved cases may be classified in these different conditions. Either they can be in form of tendencies and diatheses, or they can be full-blown cases. Full-blown cases can be curable and incurable. We are taking them in detail with their modes of management differentially. The naturally evolved cases. Here, the sickness has evolved naturally on its own pace, gradually. That is, there has not been any transformation by mechanical interventions, massive and radical treatments through steroids or hormonal therapies or gross, grave, sudden happenings, accidents. In such cases, we get some miasmatic and individualistic symptoms, some spiritual symptom, primary general symptom, primary mental and physical symptoms, particulars, some causations, etc. On careful examination of a case with detailed history taking, it becomes clear that the case has evolved naturally and no disturbances have come up. Two types are there, tendencies and diatheses and full-blown cases. Tendencies and diatheses with casual and mild presenting symptoms of sickness along with the basic symptoms of the individual. So they are mostly of recurrent type. जैसे बच्चे को बार बार जुकाम खांसी हो जाता है या किसी को बार बार दस्त लग जाते हैं, tendency to catch cold, diarrheal diathesis, hemorrhagic diathesis, and so on. Another are full-blown or well-evolved cases with well-developed symptomatology. They may be of continued type or may be of recurrent type, including intermittent and alternating states. To understand this part, what we have just talked about, we need to understand what is the normal mode of evolution of sickness, how the sickness actually evolves. This is the normal evolution of sickness. In the very beginning, it is spiritual in nature. As Dr. Henneman has mentioned, सबसे पहले बुरा ख्याल दिमाग में आता है, तो बुरा विचार जो आता है दिमाग में, that is the spiritual illness, that comes first. After that comes mental illness, mental symptoms, then physical casual symptoms, कभी-कभी symptom आते हैं, and thereafter comes physical disease, a proper regular disease. It goes on remaining and it leads to ultimates and end results of the disease. These end results and ultimates, they lead to secondary physical symptoms which are not miasmatic. These physical symptoms, when they keep on, then they lead to secondary mental symptoms, and over time they lead to secondary spiritual symptoms. The problem comes up when many of our colleagues, they mix up primary physical with secondary physicals, primary mentals with secondary mentals, and even primary spirituals with secondary spiritual characters. While they both are not only entirely different in their etiopathogenesis and also regarding their importance in taking the case, analyzing the case, and using them for management of the case. With the detailed information of the normal development of cases, evolution of sickness, we are able to understand that all the full-blown cases up to such miasmatic development of diseases where the symptoms are primary, they are curable. But when the disease has progressed too far with the development of secondary symptoms because of disease and products and ultimates, it is not curable. To summarize in this table, the primary symptoms are spiritual, mental, physical, casual, and physical disease proper. These all are primary symptoms, which ultimately lead to ultimates and end results. And from there starts the reverse chain of secondary physical, secondary mental, and secondary spiritual symptoms, which are all secondary symptoms. And when these come up, this is most probably not curable. Stuart Close writes in the chapter of health and disease, cure in the complete sense may be impossible because the case has passed beyond the curable stage. We must learn to distinguish between incurable disease and disease which has reached the incurable stage. There is no such thing as incurable disease. All diseases are curable before they have reached a certain stage. So Stuart has very clearly said about incurable disease and reaching the incurable stage in a curable disease. So curability has been surpassed and the incurable stage has come. This is with many of diseases. So full-blown cases may present themselves in either of the two following stages. If it is within curable limits, the case is curable. If the case has developed beyond curable limits, the case is incurable. The natural curable cases. The approach is different for different types of cases. Now we are taking up natural curable cases. Here, the disease is chiefly generalized. Symptoms are chiefly miasmatic and primary, more generalized than structure. So we get sufficient miasmatic and individualistic symptoms, generals, all sorts of generals, primary spiritual, primary mental generals, and primary physical generals. We also get characteristic particulars along with basic symptoms of the individual that add to individualization, that is, the diagnosis of the individual. Some diagnostic pathological symptoms may be present that usually lead to diagnosis of disease. But all the pathological changes are reversible, even if they are gross. A very common example is mass consolidation of lung tissue in pneumonia. The pathology is very extensive, the whole lung tissue is consolidated, but still it is reversible. So with reversible pathology, it is a natural curable case. Another example is pathology in diffuse cellulitis. So many abscesses with cellulitis, very gross pathology, but still it may be curable because of the reversibility of pathology. Here the vital reaction, that is resistance, is good. Eliminative processes are efficiently active. Eliminations may be physiological through natural routes and unmodified, or they may be pathological, but even the pathological eliminative processes are not grossly modified and suppressed. To summarize, natural curable cases are characterized by that the duration is not too long, eliminations are present, no massive and irreversible structural pathologies, no end results or ultimates. That is, there are no secondary symptoms, no gross suppressions by much symptomatic treatments or radical therapies and surgical interventions. A good and satisfactory essential totality can be constructed. the prognosis is very good when treated judiciously. However, curability depends upon the extent of reactivation of vital force, eliminations, and Herring's law of cure through investigatory follow-up. The treatment of natural curable cases. In the recurring types, initially they are treated as acute illnesses till they come down to apparent normalcy. Later on, an anti-miasmatic drug is selected on past history and family history, which is mostly a no-go. But this anti-miasmatic drug is to be selected after the acute illness, acute part of the illness is reduced down. There is no place for a constitutional simillimum because aim is to break the recurrence. Here the usual mistake is to apply a constitutional medicine in recurring type of natural curable cases. It should be anti-miasmatic, not a constitutional simillimum. For the continued type of natural curable diseases, initially the symptoms of the patient are dealt with through general management as far as possible to reduce the intensity of the problems. Now a good and satisfactory essential totality is constructed upon ailments from or the causations, presenting or altered mental and physical generals and particulars if prominent. Not all the particulars need to be considered, only the prominent ones are to be considered. Simillimum is selected on essential totality or keynotes or PQRS symptoms, which is mostly a polycrest remedy. It is prescribed mostly in medium or high potency. After 6 to 10 weeks, there may be so many conditions. Either there may be a relief which is insignificant, कोई खास फर्क नहीं पड़ा, then we need to retake the case and select a better simillimum. Second possibility is there is right direction of case following Herring's law. If so, simply wait and watch, not to disturb the case. Another possibility is old suppressed eliminations are coming up again. This again is a very favorable conditions. We need to simply wait and watch, keep on giving assurance and the placebo therapy. After the point when there is no further improvement in the case by simillimum, then again an anti-miasmatic drug is prescribed on a high potency based on past history and family history, which is mostly a nosode. It usually clears the case to recovery. In another case, if there is a relapse of symptoms, the symptoms have started coming back again, then an intercurrent remedy, which is a constitutional miasmatic simillimum, it is selected on basic characteristics or the basic constitution of the person, basic temperaments, past history and family history. And it is prescribed in high potency. Now the natural incurable cases where the disease has progressed too far. These include advanced, complicated and terminal cases that have gone too further than the curable limit with irreversible pathological changes. Whether they are gross or moderate, that is, the disease has localized organically. Symptomatology is vague, uncontrolled, consisting predominantly of disease symptoms, organ symptoms, and secondary symptoms due to pathological end products and ultimates. That is, the disease picture is full of common pathological particulars that lead to pathological diagnosis. The primary individualistic symptoms are either nil or insignificant. Mental and spiritual symptoms are either not present, they may be even abundant, but they are solely or chiefly secondary to the long continued organic sufferings. Primary symptoms, primary mental and spiritual symptoms are hardly there. Secondary mental and spiritual symptoms are present. Vitality is low, resistance is poor. So the eliminations are either nil or they are very less, and they are mostly modified and perverted. So a natural incurable case is characterized by too long duration of disease. Diseases which has extended beyond the range of structural reversibility and only the common pathological symptoms are present. Irreversible pathology with gross structural damages. Secondary symptoms depending on a number of end results and ultimates, where the miasm has developed from secondary stage to tertiary stage, that is, the disease has settled in closed systems. Eliminations are either nil or insignificant, or they are dead eliminations. Example is a leukodermic patch or hyperkeratotic patch lying unchanged for very long. The prognosis of such incurable natural cases. As these cases are incurable, they can be helped through palliation only. That is, by providing symptomatic relief in the intensity of pathological symptoms. Curability, if at all possible in some cases, depends upon the extent of reactivation of vital force, eliminations, and Helling's laws of cure through investigatory follow-up. However, Dr. Burnett has written, the limits of curable and of incurable are not represented by any fixed lines. What is incurable today may be curable tomorrow. And what we all of this generation deem incurable may be considered very amenable to treatment in the next generation. So it is not very fixed that it is incurable, will remain incurable forever. After some time with new developments, it can be considered as curable also. The treatment part of it, because the main role is of palliation. For palliation, we consider the disease only, that is the pathological organic symptoms. The generalities are not taken into consideration. Similimum and constitutionals are not used. And this again is a mistake in such cases when many of our colleagues directly jump into getting similimum, and similimum for all sort of cases. To repeat, in natural, seemingly incurable cases, we should go for palliation primarily, considering the pathological organic symptoms. Generalities should not be taken into consideration in the beginning. Similimum and constitutional treatments are not to be used in the beginning. What is required is symptomatic medicines that are used for a specific purpose or specific symptom. These are partial similimums selected only for a distressing symptom. And organ remedies, which are short-acting medicines in physiological doses in mother tincture or in low potencies, which are used as tonic for the particular organ. They prevent further damage to that specific organ and reduce the intensity of symptoms arising from that organ disease. Surgery may be required to remove the disease ultimates that produce secondary symptoms. In addition, use of specific nosode in incurable disease helps to prevent the disease from going further and faster. Mind it, here the word used is specific nosode, not nosode. Specific nosodes are which are specific to a, as if it is considered that such and such disease complex has developed after say streptococcal infection. Streptococcinum is the specific nosode to help in such case. Similarly, typhoidina and so many other specific nosodes may be used where the condition comes up like bad effects since that particular disease. Then specific nosodes are used to prevent for the further spread of bad effects of that disease. Occasionally, it may happen that the vital force gets reactivated and some significant eliminations start, and some old primary symptoms may come up afterwards. If so happens, it indicates the probability of the case turning towards curable stage. And here it is reconsidered, and now it is treated as a curable case because we get some primary and characteristic symptoms. These were the naturally evolved cases with curable and incurable limits. Now we are taking up the next part, unnaturally evolved cases. So what are the unnaturally evolved cases? Here, the sickness has not developed through natural miasmatic mode of evolution. Such cases may develop in very different ways. Few are following ways. For example, in cases where mechanical interventions, either therapeutic or diagnostic, surgeries with organ excision or transformations, prolonged systemic and radical treatments with steroids, hormonal therapies, cytotoxic drugs, immunosuppressants, etc., have been done in past that have internalized and transformed the development of the natural disease so that the miasmatic evolution has been excited unnaturally. Massive suppressive treatments have been done that have grossly suppressed the eliminations to either nil or insignificant, as prolonged suppression of fluent coryza or leukorrhea or skin lesions or discharges, or they have been transformed into grossly modified, unnatural or dead eliminations, as a hyperkeratotic patch lying unchanged for very long after prolonged symptomatic treatment, as a case of maybe eczema or tinea corporis, which is treated with cauterizing ailments, cauterizing applications repeatedly and very grossly. The skin is so deeply cauterized that there remains initially a malformed skin patch with itching. Further application of those strong chemicals is continued. The patch becomes hyperkeratotic and it remains so. Even the itching is gone, that hyperkeratotic thickened patch remains. That remains for years. Now, most probably, hardly anything can be done for it. If that remains silent, it is a dead patch. Dead eliminations, we can say. Few more examples are there. Massive drugging with so-called homeopathic medicines has been done, especially in hypertensives and for a long time. This point, I would like to emphasize. At times, so many of pharmacies are supplying some combinations, whether those or at times some of our colleagues are giving partial similimum medicines in hypertensives over a very long time, just for seeking a little bit of relief, keeping on giving them. But much more than that are the cases where many of the patients, they get some information from internet or WhatsApp or other media. They select the medicine by themselves, which are actually partial medicines. Even they may be homeopathic at some stage, and a homeopath properly might have given a dose or two, but they start taking them as sweet pills, as toffees and chocolates in moderate or high potencies, 2 times, 3 times, or 4 times a day for months together, then again it is a misuse of medicines. The homeopathic medicines used wrongly, or the partial similium, or the wrongly selected homeopathic medicines used unhomeopathically in long duration wrongly, that is again a massive drugging, which leads to unnaturally evolved cases. Long continued use of synthetic constitutional drugs instigating the drug miasm, which continue to grow as drug diseases or iatrogenic diseases. Long continued use of drugs for passion or fashion, or as a social trend, etc., inducing the drug miasm in previously otherwise healthy individuals. Very simple, so many examples are there. Simply smoking, this again is a drug. Pan masala, gutka, liquor, maybe नशे के लिए इंजेक्शन लगाते हैं, या ऐसा जो भी फैशन के लिए. Even at times you might have known, स्किन पे कुछ कॉस्मेटिक एप्लीकेशंस एक्सेसिवली करते हैं. I remember of a case, a lady had long-standing problem of hair and scalp, which actually triggered by twice straightening her hair, which were curly, and she wanted to have straight long hair present for 2 functions of the family with a small gap of a month or so. And she had some treatment done with straightening of hair with many chemicals and some heat treatment and whatnot. I'm not sure about it. But they were done twice with a gap of about a month. And a short while after, she started developing problem. This is a case where it was not a prolonged use of some passionate type of cosmetic work. Only twice had affected her. People do such things for long, for fashion, and for craze, and they get the bad effects. And this is among one of the types of unnaturally evolved cases. In persons who were otherwise healthy. Similarly, unintentional and unknowing exposure or uncontrollable exposure by compulsion to harmful toxic materials or environment, it initially produces harmful effects, but when continued for long periods, it instigates a drug miasm, which continue to grow as drug diseases. I hope most of us are exposed to such things to more or less extent, which is environmental pollution, water pollution, so many chemicals through our food, water, environment. All these things, either we are taking unintentionally, unknowingly, or at times we know it, that we are getting harmful things, but they are uncontrollable. This uncontrollable exposure also gives us some harm, more or less. And in the long run, it is likely to cause some drug miasmatic effects on us. As far as possible, we should reduce them. This again is a type of unnaturally evolved case. Such cases usually present with symptoms of side effects and bad effects of insidiously used symptomatic drugs, disease, and pathological symptoms, secondary symptoms of surgical alterations and organ removals, or vague symptomatology of modified and uncontrolled disease developments. Iatrogenic developments and drug diseases are prominent. Resistance is very poor in such cases. Eliminations are either suppressed or are grossly perverted. In such cases, prognosis is very poor. These cases are very difficult to cure, rather mostly incurable, because resistance has already succumbed to drug myosin, and the vital force is not able to react curatively due to massive suppressions and internalizations. Furthermore, the transformation by mechanico-surgical procedures are absolutely irreversible. Curability depends upon the extent of reactivation of vital force, the level of resistance, and the degree of eliminations. As these cases are very difficult to cure or uncurable, the primary and main aim of treatment is to provide symptomatic relief in intensity of symptoms through palliation. For this, reduce and if possible remove the synthetic drugs and addictions that have induced symptomatic, suppressive, and constitutional effects. These are substituted by either the partial similimum or the symptomatic medicine used for distressing symptoms, or with the help of organ remedies in physiological doses in mother tincture or lower potencies as tonic for the particular organ. They prevent further damage to the organ and reduce the intensity of symptoms arising from that organ. Harmful environmental exposure to toxic material is avoided as far as possible. For the treatment, in favorable cases where with all this management, after some initial improvement, if vital force gets aroused and some reactivity comes up in the form of some eliminations and basic symptoms of the person, it is time and stage for appropriate homeopathic medical aid. Now take the case again, make a totality and select and prescribe an anti-miasmatic nosode on family history and past history, or for the eradication of chronic miasmatic state that is present in the background. With all the other favorable conditions being provided and with absolute lack of any disturbance, vital force is given adequate time, usually in terms of several years, to recover properly. However, supportive therapy along with suitable homeopathic aid and moral support must be continued. Another chronic case type is unevolved type or the one-sided cases. Here, the constitutional sickness has not evolved properly. That is, it is only partially expressed. It may present with few or many symptoms, but they are all incomplete symptoms. If there is a single symptom but is complete, so that a similimum can be selected upon it, then it is not a one-sided case. This is one of the parameters, one of the essential parameters of a one-sided case, that we do not get a single complete symptom. There may be so many symptoms, but none of them is complete. The cause for such presentation may be that the miasmatic expression may be restricted or the prolonged suppressions so that other symptoms could not be developed. Here, the prognosis is not good usually, as the symptoms are incomplete and are not enough to select a similimum. So cure cannot be expected as such. Treatment part of one-sided cases. Initially, some short-acting remedy is given for the prominent troublesome symptom, if any. Thereafter, as the main treatment, a constitutional drug is given. If at all, it can be selected upon some basic symptoms of the individual. Otherwise, a deep-acting anti-miasmatic drug is given in medium or high potency based on past history and family history to straighten and unravel the case, which usually is either of sulfur or Merxol or Thuza or a nosode. Then wait for 2 to 4 months for reactivation of the myosin. in a favorable case, if susceptibility comes up, there is recurrence of old symptoms and some new symptoms, as well as appearance of some constitutional symptoms. If so happens favorably, the case is retaken. A totally is made to select a similimum, and then it is treated as a curable case. However, if there is no development, then it is treated with so-called specifics for support and palliation. Now, the settled cases. This might be a new word for many of us. Here, the patient comes with fully developed, well-diagnosed diseases for long periods, maybe one or maybe many diseases. But he presents with either no major presenting symptom or with only a few unattended symptoms, because he or she is under continuous medications with symptomatic drugs since long, so that all the problems are settled down, they are under control. We call it settled case. So these are cases with constitutional sicknesses where the manifestations are controlled, palliated, or suppressed by symptomatic treatments, maybe in name of allopathy or Ayurvedic or indigenous or even so-called homeopathics, especially by so many of over-the-counter preparations with maybe mixtures or single drugs which are aimed to particular symptoms, and the patient is taking many of them to settle down his present problems over a long period. Eliminations are fully or almost suppressed. Hence, the sickness evolves faster due to internalization, leading to deeper affections and alternative channelization with gross structural changes, producing secondary symptoms also. Prognosis in such cases is quite variable, from partial improvement palliatively to even up to complete cure. The curability depends on the organ involved, whether it is more vital or less vital, the extent of damage to the organs, and the extent of reactivation of vital force. The treatment part of settled cases: initially try to reduce or stop the symptomatic drugs as far as possible, but slowly, without allowing increase of symptoms, with side-by-side managing the case by diet, regimen, natural living, auxiliary measures, and preventing aggravating factors. Physiotherapy is given. It is of immense help in such cases. Start with replacement therapy by organ remedies in physiological maintenance doses to substitute synthetic drugs. Symptomatic remedies, as required, are used to further reduce synthetic drugs. Then, after some time, with minimal possible medication, some old original symptoms may come up with few general symptoms also. At this stage, now take the case again, make a totality, and prescribe the best suitable symptoms, best suitable similimum. This may need few to many months or even more. But if there is no development, no original symptom, no general symptom, no totality, then give an anti-miasmic nosode on family history and past history, and then wait for the reaction. Now the mixed cases. Again, it might be a new word. These are complicated cases where patient presents with a vague and complex hodgepodge of a number of different types of symptoms. Here it seems quite difficult to catch the starting or the end point of the case and to decide about the line of treatment. Routine medicinal treatment also fails to provide any significant and long-lasting relief. So many different types of symptoms will be present in a single case, as the whole variety, the whole array is there. Mental generals as irritability, cruelty, anger. Physical generals may be hot or chilly, thirsty. Particulars, a variety of them. There may be primary symptoms, there may be disease symptoms. Gross pathologies may be there as polyps, fibroids, hypertrophies, etc. And results and ultimates leading to secondary symptoms may be there, as there may be a renal stone, which is not a disease in itself, that is the end product of the disease. It may lead to hydronephrosis, a secondary symptom. Similarly, urethral structure. Urethral structure is again an end result of infection. It will lead to secondary symptom of recurrent UTI and dysphoria. Eliminations may or may not be very significant. Suppressed, altered, palliated, or settled symptoms are there. Environmental influences are there as tension at workplace, loss of business, poverty, tension of marriage of daughter, and so many. Occupational or habitual diseases as addictions, sedentary drugs, sedentary habits, nights or shift duties, asbestos poisoning, poisoning, exposure to paints, exposure to insecticides, pesticides, manures, chemicals, etc. Additionally, there may be some acute disease manifestations also. Now, the prognosis and curability of mixed cases. Prognosis is again quite variable from partial improvement to complete cure. And the curability depends upon the practical artistic ability of the physician to tackle major fraction of the case through general management instead of dependence over medicines only. Faith of the patient over the physician and his readiness and ability to follow the general management. The organ involved, whether it is more or less vital, extent of damage to the organs, the extent of reactivation of vital force, the availability of primary generals, and significant particulars with definitive modalities. Treatment depends on the art of the physician. Art of physician is definitely the highest important thing in such cases. In Ayurveda, there is a word युक्ति प्रमाण कि कहाँ किस तरह टैक्टफुली केसेस को अलग अलग कंडीशंस को डील किया जाए, तो वो जो युक्ति प्रमाण है वही यहाँ भी इम्पोर्टेंट है, आर्ट ऑफ द फिजिशियन, कि वो अलग अलग सिम्टम्स को किस किस तरह से डील करता है. सब कुछ मेडिसिन से नहीं किया जाता, युक्ति लगाना सबसे बड़ा काम ऐसे में होता है. All the symptoms are to be segregated and tackled individually. Each type of manifestation is dealt with differently. Primary symptoms are not to be used at this stage. Essential totality should never be made in the beginning. Initially, only the secondary symptoms are to be considered and tackled by managing respective disease-causing circumstances properly by controlling the maintaining and aggravating factors as cough from smoking, effects of family atmosphere or at workplace, etc. And results and ultimates leading to secondary symptoms are treated by surgical help if and as necessary. Acute medicines are used for acute complaints. Disease symptoms are tackled by short-acting superficial medicines in low potencies or organ remedies in physiological doses. The aim is to reduce the hodgepodge of complicated symptomatology and to straighten the case step by step so as to make it a natural case as far as possible. After 3 to 6 months, when symptoms get reduced, the remaining symptoms are used to construct the totality and case is treated with simillimum as a natural case. Later on, it needs either a constitutional drug on the basic symptoms or an anti-miasmatic drug on past history and family history to complete the cure. Now the last one, silent cases. Here the disease develops silently without any expression whatsoever, or the expressions are very trivial if at all present. Patient comes to know about it by some incidents, especially from routine checkup or for something else. It is mostly a major disease, even with end results and ultimates, without any perceptible expression. This happens due to such insidious evolution of organic miasm, where constitution fails to express the effects, or they are so trivial that they remain unnoticed. Prognosis is guarded, as there are no symptoms to make a totality and to select and prescribe a similar. No symptom, no totality, no similar. So initially, all remedies come to help the case partially. Restrictions are encouraged and exciting factors are removed as far as possible. And results and ultimates leading to secondary symptoms are treated by surgical help if and as necessary. Now, as the main treatment, a deep-acting anti-miasmatic drug, usually Nozode, is given based on past history and family history in medium or hypertensive. Open up the case later on. If the clinical picture comes up with new developed symptoms, they are taken with primary and basic symptoms to make a totality and to do a constitutional treatment. This is the all with all sort of case types. Thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, I wish to show
Yes,
my sir, Dr. Qasim Thanawala. I am fortunate to have him as my guru, who taught me and gave me whatever I am today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. This is really wonderful explanations of the different kind of diseases or the pattern of disease you gave, and everyone is appreciated you. So I request to Dr. A. Agrawal, the president of Faridabad Association, please come and say a few words.
On behalf of our Homeopathic Doctor Association of Faridabad, first of all, I will say thanks to Dr. Pravesh Agrawal for such a beautiful and knowledgeable presentation. So really, from his today's presentation, we all have learned many new things to practice the true homeopathy in the right way. And I also thanks to all the delegates from both the associations who have joined physically or online for today's program. And in last but not the least, I will thanks the team DHMA for sharing this platform with us and hope many webinars and seminars in future also. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, everyone.
थैंक यू सर। दिल्ली होम्योपैथिक मेडिकल एसोसिएशन भी आपके एसोसिएशन का धन्यवाद करती है कि आप हमारे साथ जुड़े, और मैं चाहता हूं कि दिल्ली होम्योपैथिक मेडिकल एसोसिएशन डॉक्टर प्रवेश अग्रवाल सर को थोड़ा सा अपनी तरफ से अप्रिशिएट करे। इसके लिए हम लोग जो प्रोसीजर है वो अभी तो ऑनलाइन है, ये हमारी तरफ से एक छोटा सा सर्टिफिकेट है, आप सब लोगों को नजर आ रहा होगा। तो डॉक्टर प्रवेश अग्रवाल सर, आपके लिए ये सिर्फ ऑनलाइन है, आपकी इसकी जो फिजिकल कॉपी है, जो हार्ड कॉपी है, वो हम आपको आप तक पहुंचाएंगे जरूर, और कोशिश करूंगा कि मैं खुद आपके पास लेकर के आऊं।
थैंक यू सर।
क्योंकि ऑनलाइन का जमाना है, तो अभी सिर्फ ऑनलाइन पे हम लोग ऐसे ही अप्रिशिएट कर रहे हैं, और सभी लोगों को बाद में हार्ड कॉपी हम लोग जरूर भेज रहे हैं। तो पूरी दिल्ली होम्योपैथिक मेडिकल एसोसिएशन की तरफ से आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। स्पेशल थैंक्स है डॉक्टर ए अग्रवाल सर को, जिन्होंने मुझे फ़ोन किया और मुझे इस कार्यक्रम के बारे में बताया, और डॉक्टर प्रवेश अग्रवाल सर ने भी मुझे पूरा सपोर्ट किया। हमने सारी प्रेजेंटेशंस जो भी दिए हैं आज, वो काबिल तारीफ़ है। मैं ऑनलाइन वेबिनार्स के बारे में बता दूं कि जो भी हम लोगों ने आज प्रेजेंट किया है, रिप्रेजेंट किया है, ये सिर्फ एक एजुकेशन प्रोग्राम है, इसका ट्रीटमेंट से कोई भी लेना देना नहीं है, और हम लोग यहाँ किसी भी टाइप से कोई ट्रीटमेंट प्रिस्क्राइब नहीं करते हैं ऑनलाइन बिना किसी पेशेंट को देखे हुए। तो ये कुछ गाइडलाइंस हैं वेबिनार्स के लिए, तो प्लीज़ डू नॉट आस्क अबाउट द ट्रीटमेंट। आप अपने अगर ट्रीटमेंट चाहते हैं तो आपके पास में जो भी होम्योपैथ हैं वहाँ जाएँ, उनसे मिलें और उनसे ट्रीटमेंट लें। ऑनलाइन कंसल्टेशंस दिल्ली होम्योपैथिक मेडिकल एसोसिएशन के किसी भी वेबिनार में कभी भी नहीं की गई। जी सर।
सब एक मोमेंटम अपनी तरफ से देना चाहते हैं डॉक्टर प्रवेश अग्रवाल को, तो वो आपको दिखाना चाहता हूँ।
अच्छा।
तो डॉक्टर प्रवेश जी के लिए हम मोमेंटम।
बहुत सुंदर सर। हम लोग एक साथ एक बार सीएमई करेंगे, क्योंकि दिल्ली में हम लोग जहाँ पर सीएमईज करते थे दिल्ली पब्लिक लाइब्रेरी में, उन्होंने अभी तक अलाउ नहीं किया है, क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट के कुछ अपने रूल्स हैं और शायद जो कोविड का सेकंड फेज चल रहा है तो इसमें शायद और थोड़ा डिले हो जाएगा। तो हम लोगों ने ये प्रोग्राम बनाया कि हम लोग जुलाई अगस्त तक तो हमारे वेबिनार्स कंटिन्यू हैं।
ठीक है।
हम लोग फिजिकल भी कराने की कोशिश करेंगे, लेकिन सबको सेफ्टी के साथ। अगर सबको सेफ रहा तभी फिजिकल कराएंगे। तो आप सब लोगों को एक बार वहाँ भी बुलाएंगे। थैंक यू सो मच सर। और तो कोई क्वेश्चन है, कोई बात करना चाहता है तो प्लीज। डॉक्टर सौरभ शर्मा, आप कुछ कहना चाहते हैं शायद?
डॉक्टर सौरभ ऑनलाइन
वो हो गया होगा। डॉक्टर ए अग्रवाल सर, आप प्रेसिडेंट हैं तो आपकी तरफ से इजाजत है तो हम लोग मीटिंग को एंड करें, या कुछ और बातें रह गई तो मुझे बताएं। हम
किसी ने कोई क्वेश्चन पूछना तो देख लीजिए, नहीं तो फिर हम ठीक है
सर ऑलरेडी यहाँ जूम के चैट बॉक्स में तो कुछ नहीं, मैं एक बार फेसबुक पे चेक कर लेता हूँ। प्रोग्राम हमारा फेसबुक पे भी लाइव है और अच्छे कमेंट्स हैं, और सब किसी टाइप का कोई क्वेश्चन तो नहीं है अभी, ना फेसबुक पर ना जूम। और क्वेश्चन जब भी नहीं होता है जब या तो सब लोगों को बहुत सारी बातें समझ में आती है, और सर को वैसे भी इतनी
क्या नहीं आती
नहीं, लेकिन ऐसा आपके लेक्चर में कुछ था नहीं कि जो समझ में ना आया। आपने जो बहुत ब्यूटीफुली सबको एक बहुत स्टेप वाइज समझाया, वो शायद एक काबिल तारीफ है। और डॉक्टर कासिम चिमटन वाला सर जैसे आपके गुरु रहे हैं तो फिर और क्या कह सकते हैं। हालांकि मैं डॉक्टर चिमटन वाला से, मतलब कासिम चिमटन वाला सर से तो नहीं मिला, लेकिन डॉक्टर आदिल से कई बार मिल चुका हूँ। तो वो भी एक बहुत अच्छे टीचर है, मतलब वो जब वो पढ़ाते हैं तो मुझे लगता है कि पूरा एक समाज जो है वो अलग ही हो जाता है। तो डॉक्टर कासिम सर की तो बात ही अलग होगी। तो बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर, बहुत अच्छा लगा आप सब लोगों से मिल करके।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर।
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू। मीटिंग एंड करें सर।